Yes, guys, today we are going to be weighing out the pros and the cons of personal training versus online coaching. Now, I've been in the industry for about 12 years. I've done personal training for 9, and then for the remainder of that, I've done online coaching during COVID. And there's definitely massive pros to having a PT, and there's massive pros to having online coaching, right? And we're just going to dive into, ultimately what's going to help you make the decision whether you need someone like me or you need someone in person. Now, I think the major differences in kind of what I understand to separate, personal training and online coaching is firstly the accountability. Now, I think if you struggle with accountability, if you need someone who is there, who's going to be waiting for you, who's going to push you past the point that you can generally push yourself, then I think personal training is a really, really fantastic way to go, because ultimately you are going to have that in-person experience, and I think that definitely helps if you are someone who struggles to either A, show up for yourself, or push yourself past the point of comfort. Whereas my understanding when it comes to online coaching, and how I like to articulate this with a lot of people that come on board, is that I'm doing things from a much more educational process, right? So of course I'm here to hold you accountable, but ultimately you're going to be the one who needs to hold themselves accountable at the end of the day, to showing up, to following the plan that I provide. So online coaching generally provides the framework, and I think during COVID we did some virtual sessions where I'll be on the phone, and I think that can form part of online coaching, but I don't think it's the crux of it. And I think a lot of people have that understanding of online coaching. So what, are you going to be on the iPad and I'll be doing the thing? But the reality is that I think if someone comes to someone like myself for online coaching, it's more because you are already maybe training, or you do have some structure, or there is some adherence and accountability to getting in the gym, to doing the work, but you just need that edge. You need that plan that works. You need that oversight to make sure that what you're doing is conducive to getting the result that you're after. And so the coaching model, the online coaching model, is a little bit more educational, providing you with the framework that I personally would put together for you and say, hey, listen, this is your lifestyle. This is what's going to work best for you. These are the struggles. These are the things that, you need a little bit of help with. Great. This is how we're going to do that. So having oversight and educating you as to how you can go and do this for yourself, I think is the main difference versus, relying on someone to kind of take you through the process in person. Second to that, and this is something I spoke with a good buddy of mine, Chris, about, is the idea of course, fixing your form, right? So you're getting real-time feedback from somebody that is standing next to you, and they're helping you correct your form, your tempo, your range of motion. You're getting that real-time feedback. Whereas, of course, with online coaching, we obviously expect you to record your videos and record your form, etc., so that we can provide that feedback for you. But once again, when we're able to do that through an online platform, you are able to obviously have that to refer to again in the future, and that's part of the self-education process, right? Is trial and error by yourself. And once again, if let's say a personal trainer fixes your form, they correct you, they help you with exercise execution, what happens if, let's say, that personal trainer is not there? You haven't maybe taken on board all of these tools. Whereas with online coaching, the main goal is always going to be to provide you with the knowledge, the experience, and of course the ability to be self-aware, to self-correct, to self-analyze, to be in control. So I definitely think that's something else to consider. Of course, is the feedback that you would get in terms of exercise execution, and of course, form correction, etc. So they both kind of play out. You've obviously got real time, which can help, but then you've also got online, and we can chat about that. We can spend more time discussing variations and of course ways that we can improve. Whereas sometimes when you're limited to that 1 hour with somebody, you don't have that opportunity to go and trial and test and to see what works, because of course time is of the essence. Now, when I would be doing personal training, it wasn't about how much we can get in within that hour, but how much value can be provided within that hour. If, let's say, we go through a certain exercise and, I can see that you struggle with it, we might spend that entire hour learning about it, spending time on perfecting it, talking about breath control and core engagement and range of motion, and how to really get the most out of it, so that for the next 10 sessions that we go and do it, 20 sessions that we go and do it, we've spent the time to actually do it properly, instead of every time that we do it and we're not really fixing the problem, we're just actually distracting you from ever doing it correctly. So I feel like definitely doing things in person can help. If, let's say, you find the right coach who's happy to say, hey, listen, we're not going to get 1,000 things done, we're going to get one, but we're going to get it done really, really well. Personal training is great. But if someone is just being paid to take you through as much as possible and give you a hard workout and push you past the point of failure, I don't see how that's going to benefit you in the long run in understanding why and how and what you're going to do for the years to come. Something speaking from personal experience, when I did personal training, is I relied heavily on retention. I relied heavily on keeping a client forever because, of course, bank account was going to benefit from that. But, obviously, it's nice to, build these relationships and keep these relationships. But what can happen if, let's say, you're not self-aware and you're not results-driven, and maybe you're not entirely fixated on getting this client the results in the soonest amount of time possible, is that you become a crutch, you become a paid friend, and that's where you end up having a client for a year, 2 years down the line, nothing changes. And that's where I actually wasn't getting such high level results, was when I was doing personal training, because these people just needed the in-person accountability, they needed a good chat, they needed someone to soundboard. But when it came to it being results driven, there's a very small amount of people, trainers in the industry, that are actually geared on getting you real results within a real short to medium time frame, and also educating you in the process that you don't need them afterwards. Whereas with the online coaching model, we run strict 6 to 12 month programs, and if you want to extend, great, but there needs to be another goal for us to obviously work with. But the premises of the 6 to 12 month programs is to take you through a very educational process, a hands-on educational process that teaches you how to take on the knowledge from someone of 15 years of experience, of training experience, and 12 years of being in the industry. My job is to educate you so that you do not need me, because if I can get a result, provide a framework that works, you get the transformation, that benefits me when your friends, your family, other people start to see your results, and then, of course, write a good Google review, we show your transformation photos, and then what happens? We get other clients. Whereas, if, let's say, you're a personal trainer and that's not your model, because you can't take on more clients because maybe you have a full calendar, that's where I think the difference between PT and online would be really, I don't want to keep someone forever. I want to actually get them the results that they can go and talk about my service, bring more clients into the program. Whereas obviously with personal training, you're limited, and unless you're running it on a model like that where you're promoting, you're getting feedback, you're bringing more people in, if you don't have more hours, you can't really grow. And so for me, obviously, I would like to grow, but I also want to make a bigger impact. So having, people come into the program, get what they want, and then, of course, go out there and preach the gospel of, the program, and obviously inviting their friends and family in. It works at my benefit to get you the result in the most reasonable amount of time, whereas it works to a PT's benefit to keep you as long as possible from a financial perspective. And of course, other areas. This is not to bash other PTs. Like, as I said, I've done my 9 years in the field, so I'm not trying to offend anyone and say, hey, listen, this is more valuable than this, or you only focus on this. But this is what I've picked up. So there's definitely a few things that one needs to consider when making this informed decision to hire a PT or a coach. Is are you going to get the result that you're after in a reasonable time frame without dishing out thousands every year for the next 5 years? Or are you willing to invest a little bit more in a shorter time, but you're going to be getting immediate value, education, and walking away with a result, within a reasonable time frame, 6 to 12 months, but then with all that knowledge that allows you to then go and do this for the years to come, right? So definitely something to consider. And I think, what else? Of course, personal training is a lot more, financially expensive in the long run, whereas online coaching, it's a pretty, maybe a decent, solid, big investment, but you're going to be getting the value from that. And what else? Yeah, I would say, there's pros and there's cons at the end of the day. Look, I would love to go back to PT, even if it's just for, 1 to 2 sessions per day, just for that rapport, because I think a lot of people do, enjoy that. Is that physical rapport, is that energy, is being pushed, is someone slapping you on the back and saying, hey, let's go. But if let's say you are someone who's motivated to go and train and you just want a framework that is highly results driven, it's going to, be something that's easy to follow, easy to track, checking in with your coach, so by the time that we check in, we've obviously spoken about your stress, your sleep, your hydration, training intensity. These are all things as well that when you're a PT, you're not going to be able to, in that hour, provide that service, push someone to failure, get the stimulus, get the workout in, and then as well sit down with them and talk to them about their training, their nutrition, all the other biofeedback markers, your stress, your sleep, your hydration. That's where, you're going to go and do all the work, but then you're going to be providing me with feedback. And it's up to me as the accountant of fitness data, essentially, to make a story of that and be able to speak with you about that so that we can then keep doing better. So it really, once again, just comes down to feedback. And there's different ways in which that's done with personal training versus online coaching. I think personal training, you are limited to the amount of time. But with online coaching, you're not actually, having to spend more than 15-20 minutes per week speaking about what's going right, what's going wrong, what do we need to do better. So I think feedback wise, online coaching is definitely a much better model. And I think also with maybe another point that I can talk about would be there's no guesswork, right? Sometimes when you're in a busy gym with a PT, there's maybe no structure. It's what should we do today? How are you feeling? Maybe we should do a little bit of that, do a little bit of this. Maybe not always the best structure to work in if you're after results. Whereas with what I do, I provide you with a proven framework that you just need to go and follow. And I think that definitely is, once again, part of the educational process of you looking, seeing, understanding, doing knowledge forever. Where sometimes we just rely on someone else to take us through a workout and we're not really retaining the what, the why, and the how. So definitely a lot to kind of, consider. But, from my side, if I had to start my journey again, and I've once again had multiple coaches that have helped me on my journey in the past. I've had one coach that's helped me with Ironman, one coach that's helped me with my physique shows. I've had someone help me with my mindset, my business. Multiple coaches. I would say if I had to start my journey again and I needed to look at like someone to really help me, I would probably have gone online a lot sooner and asked for someone to provide me the service that I'm currently providing to people, because I strongly believe that self-empowerment, self-education, self-development, can be done a lot better. Instead of 1 hour 3 times per week, it can actually be done on a continuous basis, on a micro basis, daily, with a formal check-in to obviously deliver that coaching and say, great, this is the plan, this is what we did right, this is what we did wrong, this is what we're going to do better, these are the things you're struggling with, these are the solutions. And I just feel that 1 hour 3 to 4 times per week in-house when you're meant to be training is not the right time, place, or space to receive that education. And unless your personal trainer is booking in more time with you to sit you down and say, hey, this is what's going on, this was your performance this week, this is how we can do things better, these are the things you struggled with. If, let's say, those are not points of discussion with your personal trainer, then I definitely think you need to look at, potentially an educational process such as the All-Rounder Athlete program, which is consolidated online. And obviously it's a lot easier. You've got your phone that everything is programmed on. You can communicate with me at any point that you need, and once again, if there is anything that you ever struggle with after hours, you don't have to wait until Monday to speak about it. I am here on the other side to support you and guide you and give you clarity. And if this is something that obviously interests you and you want to find out a little bit more about online coaching, just drop me an email, damien@allroundercoaching.com, or just drop a comment below. But if you obviously have any feedback and you want to maybe ask a few more questions, just drop a comment as well. More than happy to help. But my website is allroundercoaching.com. That's in the description. Check out some of our results, and if online coaching appeals to you and you want to find out a little bit more, book in a free discovery call with no gun to the head, no sales, no obligation, but you do want to find out a bit more about the All-Rounder Athlete program, drop me a message and we can take it from there. Peace and love. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next episode.